So I just watched the new Frankenstein movie, and here are 3 reasons I thought it was a delight. By the way, my friend Jimmy is joining us today to give his point as well, so let's get to it. So number one's the monster. So in this movie, we start off with a scene where a captain's ship is stuck in the ice. The crew then goes on a search and finds the body of Victor Frankenstein on the ice, lying there lifeless. They take him to the ship to ask him how he got there and what the hell happened to him. The sailors then get surprised by a creature in the distance and begin shooting at it. The creature gets hit, but surprisingly it doesn't take damage from the shots, which causes the monster to absolutely wreck the crew. He then boards the ship and asks the captain to give him Victor Frankenstein. The ship captain declines and pulls out his blunderbuss, beginning to shoot him. This causes the monster to fall off the ship and land on the ice, which cracks and breaks, sending the monster into the water. I think that this introduction to Frankenstein's monster was really cool, as it showed off his sheer durability and his ability to absolutely wreck people if he wanted to. But it also showed that he didn't want to harm those men and was only after Victor. This intro to the movie was really cool because it set the stage early for what this movie was really about, a rivalry between a creation and its creator. After the monster fell through the ice, the ship captain went to Victor Frankenstein, who was now conscious, and asked him what that monster was and why it was after him. Victor then begins his recap, which leads us to my next point, Victor's story.
So, when Victor begins to recap his story, we get to see the rise of this young genius and what he went through during his childhood, such as the death of his mother and his insanely strict father. We see from Victor's perspective that he decided to take the path of the Dark Angel after the death of his mother, who was the only person who truly loved him. Fast forward, Victor then becomes a scientist and studies ways to bring someone back to life, which he then presents to a council of science who think that his creation is unholy and not of God. Victor is then furious about this and sets off to create his own creation via his experiment. The only problem is that he doesn't have a lab in which to conduct this experiment, so he requests the assistance of his brother to hook him up with a lab. His brother then agrees and hires workers to build the lab according to Victor's vision. Fast forward again, Victor begins his experiment and believes that it has failed, as his subject hasn't woken up yet. This causes him to become furious and go to bed. The next morning, he wakes up to see his creation alive and well at the edge of his bed. Victor is astonished and tries to talk to him, but the creature can barely speak. Victor then traps the monster in his dungeon and often tries to speak to him, but to no avail, as the only word he knows is Victor. Fast forward again. Victor gets really angry at his creation and also terrified, so he decides to set his lab on fire and blow it up, which causes him to lose a leg in the process. I think that this view into Victor's life was really cool, as we got to see the reason he aspired to do the things he did. The trauma of his childhood led him to this point, which caused him to be the father of a creation that he thought was a disappointment, similar to how his father thought of him when he was growing up. After Victor finishes his recap, a knock is heard at the door. The monster walks in, which causes the boat captain to be shocked. The monster then begins to recite his part of the story and what happened to him after the explosion. This leads me to my last point, the monster's story.
So when the monster begins to recap his story, we see how he escaped the explosion by exiting through the building before it blew up. He then dodges through the woods until he finally finds a house with people. He decides to hide in it, as if humans see him they would try to kill him. Even though he couldn't die, the monster didn't want to cause fear to humans. He hides in the shed and stays there for many days. He then peeks through the cracks of the wood to see the family living together, which allows him to slowly but surely pick up the English language. Fast forward, the family then leaves for a hunt, leaving only the blind grandfather behind. The monster approaches the old man and talks to him. The old man says he is welcome to stay and is willing to teach him how to speak. The monster and the old man begin spending their time together, and the monster begins to learn more of the English language, eventually speaking it fluently. But unfortunately, one day a group of wolves, whom the monster tried to protect the old man from but failed, attacks. This causes the monster to become sad and to add more fuel to the fire. The family returns to find their grandfather dead and the creature near his corpse. The creature runs away as the family tries to hunt him. Fast forward again, the monster goes to find Victor and asks him to provide him a bride to spend the rest of his life with. As he cannot die, Victor refuses, calling him a mistake and a monster, which causes the monster to go on a rampage and attack Victor. Fast forward even more, Victor begins his hunt to kill his monster, leading to a cool confrontation between them. I think this is one of the scenes that I found really cool, as it features the monster holding a stick of dynamite and mocking Victor, saying that if it didn't kill him, he would come after him again. I feel like this scene was beautifully shot and cinematic. Moreover, this recap of the monster story was better than Victor's story, as it showed us that the monster, even though scary looking, had a heart and wanted to be loved and respected, but got treated badly by his own creator. It showed us that experiences we undergo in our childhood inevitably shape how we treat our own offspring in the future. This creature was so innocent, but due to the harsh treatment of his creator, he became angry and temperamental. Lastly, the movie ends with Victor dying and the monster pushing the ship into the sea to assist the sailors. This leads to a shot of the monster walking towards the sunrise in hopes of a better future. What an absolutely beautiful ending to this classic masterpiece. Thus, those are 3 reasons Jimmy and I thought Frankenstein was peak. If you have your own thoughts on the movie, make sure to drop them down in the comments below. Until next time, take care and enjoy fandom.